Good morning. We're glad you could join us today. We're going to get started in just a minute, waiting for a couple more people to join us here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is our webinar on an overview of SmartList and SmartView, specifically for Dynamics GP. Just a couple housekeeping notes that I wanted to let you know. First of all, you are all muted on the webinar. However, if you do have any questions at any time throughout the webinar, go ahead and use the question box. You'll see that on your GoToWebinar control panel. You can go ahead and type your question in there, and then we'll get to it as soon as we can throughout the webinar, and also any questions at the end as well. Second of all, in case you're worried about taking a whole bunch of notes or trying to remember everything to tell a coworker, you are going to get a copy of the recording. We are recording this webinar, and you get a copy probably tomorrow afternoon. So you don't need to worry about trying to take a whole ton of notes or remember everything. So that was that. All right, so just a little bit about Boyer & Associates. We've been around for about 24 years. We have over 300 active clients throughout the Midwest, Microsoft Gold Certified Partner, and we support their ERP products, GP, SL, NAV, and their newest one, Dynamics 365 Business Central, which is actually their first cloud-based accounting product. So that's kind of cool. Some of the services that we offer, implementation, support, project management. Also kind of a new one for us is report development. Specifically, we've been working a lot with BI 360 and Jet Reports. Of course, we do Power BI as well. We actually have another webinar series going on right now with business intelligence solutions. So we've already done the ones for Jet Reports and Power BI. However, you can sign up to view that recording. And then our BI 360 one, I believe, is next Tuesday. So if you're interested in any of those, either let us know or go on our website. Making business better. If you are a client of Boyer's, you've probably heard this phrase a few times. That's because to us, it's more than a slogan. It's something that we are really committed to trying to make sure that all our activities, all our events like this one, everything we do is actually, in fact, helping to make our clients better, make their businesses better. Along with that, our core values are, spell out the word team. It's trust, effort, attitude, and meaningful relationships. And again, these are something that we talk about on a weekly basis, along with trying to decide, okay, how are we doing things in order to make businesses better for our clients? A little bit about what we're all about. Without further ado, I'll give you to Kelly Peak. She is one of our GP consultants down in Ohio, and had to push back the webinar a few days because she had lost her voice at a basketball game, but she's better, and we're going to get good today. So Kelly, I'll give it to you.
Okay, thank you. So let's see. Okay, hi everybody. Going to talk about, let me just get my screen up here. Today we're going to talk about two products, SmartList Builder and SmartView. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with these products or not, but they both relate to GP SmartList. Within SmartList and GP, that is your ad hoc reporting tool that you can use. So today we'll talk about these two products which enhance the use of GP SmartList. Go through our agenda. We're going to talk about SmartList Builder first and look at some of the features, and then we'll go through a demo and of creating a SmartList Builder. Then we're going to look at the SmartView product. We'll do some comparison between SmartList and SmartView, and we'll take a look at that product as well. And then any questions and answers at the end that you have, we can answer those. Also, again, if you have questions throughout, just go ahead and put those in the chat, and Katie will let me know, and we'll answer those throughout the presentation. So we're going to get into what is a SmartList Builder first. This is a tool that provides the ability for users to create customized smart lists using the smart list that you have in GP. What's nice about the product is now with GP, I believe 2013 or 15, you can now take an existing smart list and modify it in SmartList Builder. You can create a smart list for any series, joining multiple tables, multiple companies. You can set pre-filtered defaults and summarize data, and you have your drill downs and your go-tos. And also too, if you have an outside vendor or outside third party that you're using to bring data into GP, we get that into a SQL view. You can actually create a smart list off of that SQL view from the outside data and put that in a smart list builder and create a smart list off of that as well to view in GP. It does require that you do know some of the table structures in GP, but if you kind of know the screens and the information that you want to see, we can help you with that. Or there's also, you can do that through your report writer will also give you the table names as well. Some of the features of SmartList Builder. Like I indicated before, you can take an existing smart list and modify that. When you're building a smart list, as you'll see in our demo, you will be able to auto update it. So before, you used to have to close SmartList, go into SmartList Builder, close SmartList Builder, and save it. Now you can toggle back and forth pretty easily. You can create multiple tables and calculated fields, export those to Excel, and you can duplicate a smart list to summarize that. You will see that in our example. And we can also add some SQL scripts if needed. So we're just going to go into SmartList Builder here, and we're going to do a demo. And some of the areas that we'll cover is we'll create a smart list using multiple tables. We're going to modify the field names, create some restrictions, and we'll show you how to create a calculated field, duplicate that smart list, and create a summary off of it. So we're going to open up GP here. Open up SmartList Builder. So within SmartList Builder, as I was indicating before, you have some of the same features that you do in just the GP Smart List, like your columns, where you want to arrange how you want the columns to be laid out. You have your go-tos, you can create restrictions and calculations, and those are some of the things that we're going to do throughout the demo of our presentation. So first, we're going to create a new smart list, and what we're going to look at is looking at transactions that are fully applied, and we're also going to combine that vendor information. And if you're within GP, your vendor information resides in your vendor card. Your transaction window is where you have all the information. So we're going to show how you can create a smart list and link those two tables to create a smart list and generate all that information. So we'll go ahead and give it an ID, PM, we'll use PM apply. And the smart list name, we'll call it fully applied transactions. Okay, so the first thing and then we have to select our purchasing series. So first thing we have to know is, like I said, is what table to use, and you can use a table finder within GP to help you with that. But we know that our fully applied transactions is in the table under the purchasing table in our PM vendor fully applied file. So we're going to go and locate that. I'm sorry, the PM paid transaction history file. So we're going to pull in that table, and these are some key fields that we have here, and we're going to save that. So we have our first table, and this is already creating a smart list. So if you were in GP and you were to go through the PM transaction screens, this is every field name possible listed in that transaction window. But what we want to do is, in our display names, we want to select defaults of what we want to see the columns in our smart list. So we're going to turn some of these on. Okay. Up here, if you click the sort fields, you can view by your field name. So let's say we're looking for like the 1099 amount, we can scroll through here, or if we sort this by field name, we can see that it's up at the top here, and we'll turn that on as a default field that we want to add to our smart list. You can sort by any of these other field type, display status, display name. So you can change the screen to do that. The other thing is, under display name, you can change the way that these are viewed. So if you wanted to change the voucher number to system number, you can actually type in system number. I'm going to just change a couple of these just to give you an idea. Okay, so we're just going to shorten some of the names. So now if we hit save, our smart list in GP has been created. So if we go over to GP and we click on smart list, you're going to get this window the first time you create SmartList and SmartList Builder. Go down to our purchasing series, and we will view our new smart list. Okay. So from here, we can actually start to build and add and make changes that we want to see in our smart list. So one of the things that we would want to do is, here we notice that we have our vendor, just our vendor ID. We'd like to add the vendor name and some information. So if we were to go up to columns here and we were to hit add and we look through, we would note that it shows the vendor check name, but there is no vendor name. And that is because that information is coming from the vendor card, which is a different table, which is a table called the vendor master table. So if we wanted to, let me get this off here. Sorry about that. So we would have to go and add another table. We would link the vendor master table to this for our smart list to get our vendor information. The other thing that we could look through here is to say, we notice that the Doctypes have integers, and these integers represent something. So 6, I believe, stands for payment, 1 stands for invoice, and so we would want to make some changes here to reflect the actual Doctype name. So like I told you before, we can go back and forth between SmartList and SmartList Builder to modify our smart list. So let's go back and we'd hit the modify button up here at the top, and this opens our smart list. The first thing we want to do is we're going to link a table. So we want to bring in our vendor information. So we're going to bring in another table, and we're going to look for the PM vendor master file. Okay. So we need to establish a relationship between our master file table and our transaction file. We know that the vendor ID is a key field between the two. So we're going to select our vendor ID field in both tables, and we'll establish the relationship that way. And after we hit save, so now we've joined our vendor file to our history file. And here's where we can select our vendor name. And if we wanted to add other columns like the address or check name or anything else that we wanted to add, we could do that as well. So if we hit save, you're going to see behind the scenes here that the GP is going to update and it's going to add in our vendor name. Okay, the next thing that we'd like to see is, like I said before, we want to modify this doc type so that it reflects the actual name versus the numbers. So if we go back into modify, so in our SmartList Builder here, if we were to click this blue button, this allows us to modify each one of these field names. For example, if we were on the doc date, and our doc date now on our SmartList is reporting in the short date, but if we wanted to change that to report in a long date, we could do that. For our doc type, let's go over here to the doc type. There we go. Okay, so we notice we have this list here, so we could actually type in the 1 and the description, which is, I believe, is invoice, and 6, which is the payments. But if we have smart lists that are already out there, we can actually go to one of those smart lists and copy that information in. So here, if we hit select, it's going to put those field descriptions in here. So now in our smart list, when we go to save this, instead of seeing the actual integer number, we're going to see description. So now we notice here that we have our payments, we have credit memos, and we have invoices. Now, just like within GP and SmartList, we could do some searches, some filterings. We could do that here. But if we did that, or we arrange the columns, it wouldn't be a permanent change. We'd actually have to keep saving it as a favorite. In using SmartList Builder, we'll be able to make any restrictions or any calculations, and there will be a permanent change. So one thing we'd like to do is we want to get rid of, let's say we wanted to get rid of all the payments and credit memos and just look at the invoices, and we want to look at them for the current year. So only for the current year. And this is GP 2018, so the current year is going to show up as 2027. So if we go back into hit modify, we can actually set up those restrictions. So click our restrictions up here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our transaction history table, and we're going down to our doc date. Okay, and we're going to put the restriction that we want to see for the current year. So we're going to say between the beginning of the year and the end of the year. And you could do beginning of the month, or you could select a date, or if you want to do it on a weekly basis, you could certainly set that up. So now we have our date restriction, and then our next restriction is we're going to filter out everything that's not an invoice. So we're going to go down to our doc type. That contains an invoice. So we'll save that. So we have our two restrictions. Current year, we're going to look at the invoices to the vendors for the current year. Hit OK. Hit save. And our smart list will update to display the invoices for the current year, 2027. Okay, another thing that we could do is, let's say we wanted to add our address fields. We're creating this report for someone and we want to add some addresses. So we could go to our vendors and our vendor table and add the address, or we could add one column here that has an address in it. So if we go into modify, and if we were to go to this table, we could select address 1, the city, state. That's going to create about 4 to 5 more columns. So instead of doing that, we can create a calculation that will put the address in one column. Okay, so we go into our calculations, and we're going to call this vendor address. And our field type is going to be a string because we're going to string some address fields together. So in our PM vendor master table, simply take address 1, address 2, hit the add button. We're going to add our city. So it's just a simple calculation of you're just adding fields together. And we'll go down and find the state and add the zip code. So instead of having each one of these in a column, we are combining the full address for the vendor and it's going to go in one column. Hit validate. See the calculated field is valid, so we know that it will work, and we hit save and hit OK. So our calculated field will now show up here, and we want it to default into our smart list. So we hit save, and our smart list will update to show our vendor address. Okay, so now we have our vendor address. And let's say that we wanted to arrange the columns so they come out a little bit better. If we go back into modify, we can permanently arrange our columns right here in SmartList Builder. So we're going to take the vendor name, move that to the top, move it right after vendor ID, move the vendor address down, and we'll move the voucher number, and we'll move up the document number. Save that. So now we have our updated smart list here. And let's say that now we have our updated smart list for the current year showing our invoices to vendors. And we wanted to export this to Excel to send this to somebody who does not have GP. So you simply just hit Excel and it will open. And then this allows you to do further analysis or save it and email that to somebody else that does not have GP. So the other thing we can do on SmartList Builder is we could duplicate a smart list. So let's say that we wanted to keep this smart list, but we also wanted to show a summarized view of how much we've spent with each vendor in the current year. If we go back into modify, we go up here to options. This is going to allow us to duplicate this smart list, and then we can use it to build off of. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. But if we go and hit duplicate, so this is going to allow us to create another smart list. So we're going to call this the PM summary. And so what we're going to do here, like I said, is summarize how much how many invoices we have per vendor. So we're going to click duplicate, and now we have another smart list created. So we don't have to go back and start over. We have another smart list created, and we can summarize off of this. So if we go under options and we click summary, so we're going to check that button. So we're going to summarize our current smart list. If we go under by vendor ID, so under each table, since that's the relationship link, we can go under and find that field, vendor ID, and we're going to do a grouping. As you can see under here, you can summarize on a maximum and minimum or just by account. We'll use the group by. And we'll also do that in our vendor table by vendor ID. Save that. If we had multiple companies, we could also group by all the companies. If we have multiple companies, they would all be listed here. Save. And again, if we wanted to add other display other fields, we could do that here with this new smart list and working off of another smart list that we created. If we hit save, so there should be another smart list created here. fully applied transaction summary. So now we can see the amount of money that we spent, that we have invoices for a certain vendor. Okay. So that gives you a little overview of using SmartList Builder. If we have any questions on that, you can ask them now, or we can just keep going and talk about the next product. So in the SmartList demo, we showed you linking multiple tables. We looked at modifying the field names. We created the restrictions when we selected invoices for the current year. Showed you how to create the address field using the calculation. Created a new smart list on duplication, and created a summary smart list. The other thing that I'll go back in here and show you is if we wanted to create a new smart list off of an existing one, we could do that. Okay, so we could also join an existing smart list to our tables as well. Okay, just another feature that SmartList Builder offers. So the next product we're going to talk about is SmartView. And if you have not seen SmartView, you're probably really going to like this product. What this is it, just as it says, it's a smart view. So it takes the views from GP, all your smart lists from GP, and it puts them in a view. And it allows you to do everything on one screen. And it's very fast and flexible. It's very simple, easy to use, and you can also export your smart view out to Excel, Word, or even PDF. Okay. What is the difference between SmartList and SmartView? Well, SmartList it's with GP. It's just a basic reporting tool. It's pretty slow. So if you use SmartList a lot and you are, especially the transactions, and you have a lot of transactions, sometimes you could run your SmartList, generate your SmartList, leave and go get something to drink or go to the bathroom and come back and it's still running. Well, with SmartView, you'll see that you don't have to wait that long to generate the information that you're looking for. SmartList is limited to 4 filters. You have unlimited filters with SmartView, and we have limited data that we can work with. With SmartView, that's another product that comes from E1. And again, it replaces SmartList, and you'll see that in our example. It's really easy to use, unlimited filters. It allows you to group and summarize right on the screen. You have totals on the screen. And the other nice feature is that if you have users that do not have GP, they can have SmartView. The only thing they will not be able to do is drill down if they're not a GP's licensed user, but they will also have an icon that they can have on their desktop, and they can access SmartView and do just about anything that you can do except for, like I said, drill down into GP. Okay, just to give you a visual picture on the speed of SmartView and SmartList, and I'll show you an example. If you know how fast the Porsche goes, that's about how fast the SmartView goes when you create one. I've heard another consultant say that SmartView is SmartList on steroids. So we can look at SmartView as a demo. I'll show you the comparison of running the two. So you can get an idea of how fast SmartView works versus GP SmartList. We'll look at creating an age trial balance right on the screen and look at customized views, and we'll look at some filtering and grouping right on the screen. All right, so if we go and open up SmartView, right on the screen. So this is what SmartView looks like. So if you notice over here, these are all your GP SmartList. And then we're also going to open up SmartList. So remember I told you about the speed of how SmartList versus SmartView works. So if we were to go to look at some transactions here, and we were to change this 20,000 transactions, We're just going to let that run. In SmartView, if we look at the same smart list, count transactions. So notice how quickly the transactions are pulling through. So if we needed to pull up 20,000 transactions, 0.86 seconds. If you notice over here in SmartList, it's still pulling in the transactions. So that gives you an idea of how quickly SmartView will pull in your transactions. I'm going to show you next, if we go and look at an aging. Okay, if we go look at the age trial balance. So as you can see here, we have the customer and the balance. Everything's right here, right on the screen. And that's the nice thing about SmartView is everything is right here in one view. Over here, you have some options that are available to you. This columns here, these are going to be your filtering, some of your columns that you create, and then we'll be able to filter right here, everything all on the screen, taking your SmartList and GP and filtering and creating options right here on one screen for SmartView. So we're going to change our date to reflect what's in GP 2018. We're going to look at this aging 3/31 2024. Okay. Right, so if you notice, if you look at this age trial balance here, you have these pluses. What this does is this is showing you all the details that make up that balance for that particular customer. If you did not want to see that, you have the option here that you can turn off the details and you will just have this amount. And to create the columns for your aging, you can simply select those and just drag them right over here to the screen. So you can see really simple, really easy to use. And we have just created an aging within SmartView. Again, if we wanted to show our details, we wanted to expand to see what all was made up in there. We have our sales and invoices. We could also exclude fully paid documents, exclude unposted, and apply documents as well. So next we're going to go down to our sales transactions. Let's take a look at that view. Okay. And in here you'll notice that we have all of our sales, our SOP types. Okay. And down here you'll notice this total number. So this is the total number of the documents amount. If we wanted to, if you notice under each column, we have these little carets. We could filter out and just say we wanted to look at invoices and orders. Hit OK. And now our SmartView is going to filter out. So if you notice here, when we set that filter, we get this purple bar down here. So these are filters that we're allowed to, that will allow us to create other filters, or we can set up filters right within the column. So if we wanted to only look at a few customers, we could do that here, hit OK, or we can go and say we want to select all. If we go under this edit filter, so you notice using SmartList and GP, you only get 4 filters per SmartList. Well, here, using SmartView, you have unlimited filters. So if we wanted to take a look at document date, we could say equals, and we could select a specific date range that we wanted to. We could change between. When we create a date filter, we also have these other operators and options that we could choose. So if we wanted to look at invoices and orders that we have that we know that are coming due tomorrow or in a week or later this year, we could do that, or we could go and look at prior year or last year. Like if we want to see a prior year comparison, we could do that. So again, SmartView allows you to have unlimited filters versus just using the SmartList in GP. On our columns, we have different options to drag and drop columns over. So if we wanted to look at sales territory and salesperson ID, we could go here and look under sales territory, and let's say we wanted to drag that column over. And we could also drag in the salesperson ID. Okay. We can arrange our columns with the drag and drop. So if we wanted to put our sales territory and our salesperson ID, if we wanted to drag those over, we could do that and arrange the columns how we want them to look. Notice our status here. It gives us an option to check posted or unposted. So if we just wanted to see the posted transactions, we could. If you notice this gray column up here, this up here will allow us to do some groupings. So if we wanted to look at our invoices in order and orders per territory, we could take the sales territory field and just drag and drop it right up here. And now you'll notice that we have territories. We have the summary of each territory. Okay. Right up above here, you see this groups. In our groups, we can also say expand all, collapse all. If we wanted to create another group and say we wanted to view the smart list by sales territory and salesperson ID, it will allow us to do that as well. So we could expand, could collapse by territory, and then we could start to see the salesperson that's listed under each territory as well. If we wanted to, and also to notice that each grouping is summarized, which you don't get that in SmartList and GP. If we wanted to export this out, well, we could preview it first. If we wanted to preview our data, hit the preview button. We wanted to export this into GP, or I'm sorry, export this out to Excel. We could do that, and this will come out exactly how we had it in SmartView. Okay. And then you have the capability to expand all the way down by sales territory and by salesperson. And this is nice because this allows you to go out to Excel and you could do further analysis, create charts or graphs or anything else that you wanted to do with the information. Another nice feature is, as you look here, we have this toolbar up here. And let's say we can't quite remember, we're looking for a certain invoice, we remember like some numbers, but we don't remember everything, or we remember a dollar amount, a document amount, or a customer name. If we turn on this find panel, this will allow us to search. So we could search, let's say we were looking for a customer and we can't quite remember the name, and we just start typing in AA. Oh, here's the customer that we're looking for. Okay. If we were looking for a particular dollar amount and we put in $25,000 and we start hitting find, this is going to bring up everything with using 25. So you can notice here, it's going to bring up 25 cents. It's going to bring up this over here. It's going to bring up the date. So anything that we want to filter down that we're not sure we want to look for it, we can actually find it using the find and search here. So lastly, if we go up and we start to look at this toolbar here, let's say we had this, our report, our SmartView, how we wanted it to, and we just wanted to look at some more, wanted to have more room. So I'm going to bring these back down so we don't have to use this scroll bar. Okay. What we could do is these are all the smart lists. So if we don't want to view all the smart lists anymore, we could turn that off and give yourself some more room. We could turn the columns on and off. So now you just have a complete view of your smart list. Again, you could turn the status button off. If you want to turn the find panel off, you could. So this allows you to do that. So if we also in SmartView, the smart list that we built earlier in our demo with SmartList Builder, those are also listed here. Okay. So if you're in one of those and you click modify, this will open up SmartList Builder since this is an existing smart list, but it will let you modify this smart list in SmartList Builder. All right, if we go here, we're gonna work our way backwards. If we go to the go-to, so again, we can drill down into GP, simply clicking on it. We can see the sales transaction inquiry window here. We could view the customer card, customer inquiry. Okay, if we wanted to look at this particular customer, like at a customer summary, we could also do that. So there's a couple of drill downs that are already here that you can view on a particular customer. If we needed to do any customer maintenance screen, this will be our customer card and we could edit our customer right there. So we need to change an address or add an address or anything, add email, we could do that just clicking on the customer maintenance button. And if we go over to home, we're going to work our way backwards here. Like I told you before, you could export to PDF. So if you were to export this SmartView to PDF, it's going to allow you to select portrait or landscape. Here's an example of what the SmartView looks like in PDF. CSV, so if you wanted to export this to CSV and use it for something else, you could do that. Same into Excel, which I showed you how to do earlier. We have our preview and our print here. All of our filters, if we wanted to hit edit, this will bring up if we wanted to add more filters. Or you can also simply, on the purple bar here, hit edit filter. If we feel like our data needs to be refreshed, we've added columns and we've added filters, so you can hit the refresh button. Okay, you can actually copy the smart list and paste it in an Excel spreadsheet or Word document as well. And then the last thing, we could take this and we could add a favorite. And also here is where we set security. So if we wanted it to just to go to certain users, we could select those users. Or if we wanted to do it by role, we could do that. Or just SmartView users only. If we had companies, we could turn it on for multiple companies and those users in those companies. So this is where you would select your security around your SmartView favorite. Hit save and you notice this is our favorite up here. If we wanted to get rid of it, we can go up here and we can hit edit, or we can edit the name, add users, or we could just remove it. So that is presentation on SmartView and SmartList Builder. And SmartView is just about as easy as I showed you here on the screen. So it's just taking your current smart list and putting everything on a view and allowing you to go through and add filters, add columns, and create other reports, export those out that you would like to see, and you can still save them as favorites. So we have any questions? So we're at the end of our webinar.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Okay.
We had one question earlier and then they got it answered already. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
There is one thing that I will show. I'm sure everybody's wondering, usually someone asks, but I'll bring this over. The pricing on both of those products. So the pricing for E1 from E1 on SmartList Builder, it's $1950. On SmartView, it's $2,500. The nicety of SmartView right now is E1 will allow you to go out and download SmartView in their download section, and you can have a 30-day trial. If you're going to use it on different workstations, you will have to download it on each workstation or just on a terminal server if all users are on a terminal server. So you need to download that, and the keys are already in to allow you to use the product for 30 days. You could test it out and try it. If you need help with the download, you can contact me and I can help you with that, or anyone else at Boyer. So that's a nicety of it. You can download it, play with it, see how well you like it. But I would say that if you use SmartView, you would really like it and probably want to buy it after the 30 days.
Wonderful. Looks like you do have one question. Jen's
Okay.
wondering if this can be used to access other SQL tables outside of GP.
SmartView or SmartList Builder? Which product?
SmartView.
SmartView. So SmartView you can't access outside of GP. But if you use the outside SQL views and you created through SmartList Builder, then that would show up in SmartView. That SmartList would show up in SmartView.
Great, thank you. Let's see, any other questions? Perfect. I think that's good. And then, do you have a slide with your contact information, Kelly? Otherwise, I've got one here as well.
I did not make one on this presentation. My apologies.
Oh, no worries. I'll just pop this up quickly so that if anyone has questions, there you go. There's Kelly's information. If you have any follow-up questions or want some more information, like she mentioned, the pricing and the trial there at the end, you can go ahead and follow up with her as well. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I think we're done for the day. Thank you everyone for joining us. Kelly, thank you so much for a great presentation.
Thank you.
And I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July. Thanks. Bye.